anything you got to say from this weekend's event at UFC Calgary, which was technically a reasonable time for us, 9 till 3. I can dig that. I can handle that stuff. Anything in particular that stood out for you on that fight card?
Yeah, like I say, it was a really good. Like we were speaking before, it's like they need to try and keep them when they move to ESPN, because it really is a good thing for European MMA and European MMA fans and so on. It's a good thing for there. Regarding the card, I thought the main card delivered. I thought even the prelims were really good from the start with the Devin Powell finish, which I thought was a wicked finish. I was really happy for that dude, considering the injuries he's had, and there was a couple of performances I was expecting a little bit more like Hakeem Dawodu. I was expecting him to fight at home, but you could tell that he like he said himself, he needed to get that confidence back. Makhachev needs a clear step up an opponent. It's not even funny at this point now. He deserves a top 15 guy. Christ, we were talking about Hernandez, maybe him against Makhachev. There's a fight we're actually talking about that beforehand. I never even thought of that. Maybe a bit quick for Hernandez, but Makhachev's probably deserving of maybe an opponent in the rankings, and that's not a bad fight to put him against. But like you say, we get into the main card. Hernandez, I thought, even though he said himself he didn't look great, I don't think he looked on as much as this, but you've got to remember it's his second fight in the UFC, and each time that he's fighting guys, he's making step-ups. And to me, he dominated for 3 rounds, pretty much. The only thing I was worried about was just in case the judges saw something different, but they saw it right. Joanna, I'm still not sold.
She got clipped a couple of times, didn't she?
And Torres is hard.
And you saw her clinch really quick, and I was like, do you know what? I was surprised by that, because I thought, Tisha's not got a big reach. Why can you not use footwork to get out there? Like, I would have thought footwork out, then bounce back in with a combination, but she just went for the clinch straight away. Like, don't get me wrong, like you said, her takedown defense, always improving, always good. Like, she's making it harder and harder to get her out of her comfort zone. But yeah man, like you said, that's something that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I still think on her day she can beat Rose Namajunas. I definitely think that. I think Rose has got a number right now, but I still think that if she was to turn up at optimum, I think she could dethrone Rose and get that belt back. And it's hard to relate. If Rose wins this next fight, whoever she's going to be against, Joanna's going to be waiting there. There's nobody else they're going to give the title shot to, because Joanna's really beat everybody else except Rose. So, it was weird watching that fight, because Torres did land and kind of wobbled it a little bit, not too much, but Torres isn't known for her power, and she hurt her there. Then, like I say, we moved on to the co-main event, and we talked about this before we came on. So people writing off one of the greats of the sport like that just because he's lost to a fellow great of the sport, or going to be a great of the sport. When I was reading some of the stuff I was seeing online through the weekend on my YouTube channel, and I'm just like, are you guys like completely forgetting what that guy did for 10 years? Well, maybe not 10 years, 8, 9 years in a division. He built that division, and people, just because he loses twice to a great fighter, they've totally written him off, and he's done, and he's finished, and he's this and that. And now he comes into that fight, and he gets hit early, comes through adversity, he starts swinging, and when he started swinging, me and you were like you said this before we came on, it was like, oh shit, here we go, he's going to get caught. And then he just kind of stepped back, composed himself, and he ripped the meanest body shot I've seen in a long time. And like I said to you, the noise was epic, and to see the emotion, I thought that was a big thing. Like I said last week, I was really questioning why he was staying at that division, but the guy obviously wants that belt back. So yeah, it was great to see. What was your thoughts on the co-main event? Because I thought it was a great finish. For me, it was that main event was epic, but that was the highlight of the card for me, was seeing Aldo do that.
That emotion kind of was, it was just profound, wasn't it? And you kind of, it was almost like redemption for himself. He was like, yes, I can still do this. I'm still relevant at 145. I can still handle it. I thought he looked a bit tentative at the start, and rightfully so, because Stevens is no joke with his power. Even though Stevens isn't going to be the 145 champ, he's got that punching power that can actually put anyone to sleep. So you've got to be careful of it. It doesn't matter who you are in that division. He can hurt anyone. But what he showed was he showed good fight IQ. Because if you watch it, Stevens didn't. Stevens kept going back to that same well of that uppercut when he hurt Jose. And I was like, dude, you need to get away from that for a second, then go back to it. But he kept throwing the combinations with that uppercut in. But Jose Aldo was good with the footwork, getting out of the way, and just he swung, but then he got out, and then he just kind of put Stevens on the back foot with a couple of shots and made Stevens go, yeah, okay, you can bang as well, bro. All right, cool, I respect you. But that body shot was a piece of artwork. Oh my gosh, I can still hear that in my head now. I can still visualize watching it now. And you just people talk about the stoppage.
Justified.
Stevens wasn't overly pleased with it as well, but it was one of them debates where you think, well, how many more shots did you want to see land? Would have made you feel comfortable to land before the ref stopped it? Would 2 more shots have been happy? Would you have been happy with 1 more? Would you have been happy with 5? That's the question to ask. The referee felt comfortable. They were clean shots landing. There was. I know he was rolling out the way. He was like rolling to turtle, but every shot Jose wanted to hit was going onto the head. It wasn't missing. So that for me was kind of like, well, I'm not going to whinge about. I'm not going to cry about spilt milk. So I'm over that one. But the main event, bro. We nailed it ourselves with that prediction. It was, as people want to talk about controversy with Mark Goddard. Look, being a referee in any sport, not MMA, any sport, you're not going to be liked. Because no one likes any referee. Because always referees have to make split-second decisions in moments of, well, especially in MMA, of violence. Like, dudes are swinging at each other, full pelt to knock each other's heads off. And the referee has to, in that split-second moment, make a decision on what to do. So it's hard. It's a hard. I want to say to everyone, go referee about, then come and talk to the referee afterwards. So yeah, cool. That's actually quite hard. Because I'm not going to judge anyone for it. Split-second decision. Like he in the main event fight, he was on point.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, I agree. He caught everything he caught things that we didn't see at home, and we didn't really learn until the end of it. He caught with I think he was doing stuff to his ears, like get his hand off the ear, and then that 12-6 elbow. He hit it spot on. It doesn't matter where it hits the body. You can't throw it, like he said. Like he never made the rules. He just got to enforce them. And like I said earlier on, I put on my Twitter, it was like a video of 10 seconds, and Mark Henry saying throw a 12-6 elbow. And Eddie Alvarez is looking at me like, I'm going to do it then. And I'm like, how do you guys not know that? Like, you think you're going to get away with it? I thought, and maybe in another fight you might have got away with it, but this fight's got a bit of bad blood from the first time around. So close their eyes are going to be looking at stuff egregious and stuff like that. Did something not happen in the first round?
Yes. Well, what happened was actually you had in that sequence alone. You were talking about the 12-6.
Yeah.
So Eddie had grabbed the cage, Eddie had grabbed his ear, and he did 3 fouls, and that was what Mark was saying. He said it wasn't just the one 12-6. What you guys don't realise was there was accumulation of little fouls. So what am I meant to do? Am I meant to let him just keep getting away with little fouls while Poirier's in a detrimental position the whole time? How is that fair? Yeah. And that's what people didn't quite register. So everyone online were, keyboard warriors who having goes. Like, well, look, he did 3 fouls. How does that not justify getting the fight stood up? Yeah. Because in those if you take those 3 fouls away, we don't know where the fight would have went, or if it would have went anywhere. We don't know what could have happened. So, and obviously when the guillotine was on, that was in the first round. The guillotine was on by Dustin, and Eddie was grabbing the cage to stop Dustin getting it down, which would have finished it because he had the angle, he had the crank, he had him under the chin, he had that guillotine on. If it wasn't for the fact that Eddie kept it upright for as long as he did, while it loosened off, because obviously Poirier had to loosen off. But yeah, happy for Dustin, man. Oof. Yeah,
I thought Mark Goddard nailed the main event with his decision. I've become a little bit kind of egregious with him in recent the last few months. I think that he's enforcing himself a little bit too much, and like it's not giving fighters time. That's just me, and there's a lot of people online that are the same. He's kind of right in the face. Maybe in a couple of years, the rest of the referees will start to do that themselves. Maybe he's the first of kind to maybe do that. But when I'm a betting guy on fights. If I was to see that Mark Goddard was ref in a fight, I'd maybe be a little bit, I'm not sure, because like the Hernandez fight, I thought he was doing enough to at least keep it down there. Maybe not doing as much as maybe what Mark just wanted to get them back to the feet and give the fans a little bit more, because it can become a little bit tedious when fighters are down there and throw bitty things.
It's when it's on the ground. For example, let's say I'm in guard, all right? I have to show activity. Now, the activity can be one of two things, whether trying to pass guard or striking. If I am not doing either one of those, and by the way, just because my head's planted and I'm doing this, that does not count as little tap-taparoos do not count as activity. And referees see through that. Fighters think the referee will stop, will keep them going if they're just doing like knocking the front door. It doesn't count. You have to physically throw a damaging shot to be classed as active or trying to break through the guard. If you're not doing that, the referee's it's not enough. You know, you're basically stalling the fight. And as well, but then again, I think it goes for the guy on the bottom. If you're not doing enough to get out of there, I don't think the referee should stand up. Like, I hate those guys that hold the referee and go, come on, ref, come on. No. If you can't get up, bitch, that's your problem. That's your fault. You've been taught how to do sweeps and escapes and everything.
Yeah.
If you can't do it, that's not my fault.
Yeah, the one thing that's annoying me as well is people talking about the referee over Dustin Poirier, and people need to realise what Dustin Poirier is, and is an absolute monster up there at 155. I think it's a great fight, and since he's moved to that division, he's been one of the best, except for the Michael Johnson fight. And you look at his victims in his last 3 fights. I mean, Gaethje, Alvarez, well, the last 4 fights really, because he had Alvarez on the ropes in the first fight before himself getting caught a little bit. But Perez, Gaethje, Alvarez, that's when you look back in 10 years' time and you've seen the people that you're beating, you got to be proud of the people that you're beating. That's some great names on your record. And he moves himself up into there. There's a couple of guys, I think Kevin Lee's up there. Ferguson, he took the title off him. He's literally right there. And Poirier, I think Poirier is next in line, but we don't know where that division's going at the minute. So, but the guy's just a fucking savage. He's so good to watch. You're just guaranteed fireworks with him in a main event, and just in any fight really. And he's one of my most favourite fighters, and he has been for the longest time. I'm really happy that he got that win.
I am too, yeah. It was, all in all, I would give it a double thumbs up for Calgary. I enjoyed it. There was some good moments in the fights. Even down in the earlier cards, there was some good moments. And overall, it looked like on paper it should have been a good event. And it did turn into a good event. So, thankfully, it did. So, because sometimes, like you say, we see it in the past, where great cards that should be awesome, they kind of sometimes turn out to be a bit stinkers, to be fair. So we're buzzing for that. But we've got a great fight card coming up this weekend. As the UFC call it, they call it rivalry, not rivalry, because someone's dyslexic maybe, or they can't do spell check. But UFC 227 is coming up. You call it the rematches, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But I worry for this pay-per-view card, because it's the 135ers and 125ers, so I think you're going to see low numbers. And because the UFC are going into a break, a summer break of 3 weeks, I would always think you'd want to make a bit of a oomph. You know, get a good little show before you shoot off for 3 weeks. I worry that this might not do that many pay-per-view cards, only because there's only really 2 fights on the main card that are like outstanding. The rest of them are like, meh, they're not bad, you know, meh, like. But we'll talk about those later on. But anyway, so we're going to start at the bottom. We'll work our way up. Before we do that, Will, can you just switch your camera on and off? I don't know why Skype does this, but it makes your picture, I don't know. There we go. Don't ask me why. It does something with your camera. I don't know. Technology's a pain in the butt, people. So, let's start at the bottom, bro. We're going to go in the bantamweight division. There was a slight change stepping in. Marlon Vera's done a good deed and stepped in short notice, so to speak, against Willie Buren. How do you want to kick things off, bro? Let me know what you think is going to happen in this fight.
Yeah, no, it's I think it was Barrett Kandari. It was supposed to be in this fight. I thought that was a far more winnable fight for Buren than what this one is, because Kandari's he should be a janitor in a local school or something like that, like mopping floors. Like, he's not a good fighter, but Vera is a guy obviously stepping in here short notice, fights out of California now, so it's not the biggest upheaval and getting flights everywhere and so on. And getting back in here against a caliber of opponent which is definitely less than what he's faced in his last 2-3 fights at least, with Kelleher, Lineker, Douglas D'Andrade as well. But I think that Buren could actually be a bit of a spoiler on this fight, but it's hard to pick a guy who lost to Rolando D to beat a guy who's probably better than Rolando D. So it's like, I'm trying to say words that are going to make people maybe realise that maybe Buren is a little bit, he has a chance in this fight, but then I'm like, he lost to fucking Rolando D. So, I think that Vera's going to fight from the outside and he's going to attack in spurts and win through that. I think his cardio might wane a little bit, so maybe the guy from China might come in here, and if the fight goes there, he might maybe take over a little bit. When I say take over, maybe have more success with it, with whatever he's doing. But I'm going to pick Marlon Vera. I just can't pick a guy that lost to Rolando D and then he's facing a better guy. I don't think he's a hell of a lot better than Rolando D is, but he's more established, better camp, better training partners, wants it more than Rolando D will ever want. I think he wants this win. The whole story of his daughter is always it cropped up this week in social media. I've seen that, and he's trying to get that. So it always kind of helps me push to say like he's trying to win these fights and stuff like that. I'm going to pick Marlon Vera. I think he could stop Buren, but I think Buren's tough, so I'll go decision.
Yeah, like you say, that Rolando D thing, it sticks in your head, but Buren's got some good qualities to him. He has got, believe it or not, he has got some good qualities. He actually has got a legit good 1-2.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound like amazing, but that is what basically wins most boxing fights, is a 1-2 people. And I know it's not boxing, but MMA, a 1-2 will win you most fights. My only problem with him is he's very lateral. He will come forward with his footwork, straight in, straight out with his 1-2s. You find a guy who's got this long, gangly leg kind of kicks. He's got the front kicks and the teeps, and Vera likes to throw his head kicks a lot. I think Buren's going to be smart and try to get this to the ground. And he could get this to the ground. Vera's not bad on the ground, don't get me wrong. He is dangerous, but if I'm Buren, I'm going to try and get this to the ground. So I think Vera's going to want to keep it moving around, like you say, keep it at range, keep it at distance, and just try to pick him off. But I've got to go Vera. I know it's part of that Rolando D thing sticks in my mind. I'm like, if you can't beat Rolando D, like Kandor was gonna. He's like a gimme fight for people to get a win in the UFC. He's absolutely woeful. And when I saw Marlon Vera step in, I went, oh man, I would be gutted if I was Buren, thinking, oh man, come on. But I think Vera is going to get it. I think because of the caliber of guys he's fought, that does take a toll on you. You know, that knowledge, that experience. When you're fighting high-level guys who are got throwing better combinations, better skill sets, doing more. When you come against a guy like Buren, you're probably not going to be as shocked, as surprised. So I think I'm going to go with a decision win for Vera, because he's probably going to be a bit tentative with the gas. I think he might be a bit cautious to the win. Just play it safe maybe for the first round, get it out of the way, see how he feels, maybe push on the second and third. Next up, though, is a very, very interesting fight coming up in the women's strawweight division. We've got Danielle Taylor against Zhang Weili. Now, dude, we talked about this off air. People, we are looking forward to this fight. Okay, so Danielle Taylor. I'm just going to quickly go over her as a fighter, and then I'll go on to Zhang Weili as the breakdown her. So Danielle Taylor, she is a hobbit. She should be in the Shire. I think she's 5 foot tall, which it's just awkward. She could probably be ideally an atom weight, and I think she would tear people up in the atom weight division. I honestly believe she would be great at that. If she was an Invicta in the atomweight division, she'd have a field day. But she's not. She's in the UFC strawweight, and I think it's always going to be a comeuppance to her. I know she beat like the likes of Jessica Penne, which is, you beat Jessica Penne. But Danielle Taylor, She likes to run around the octagon on the outside. She comes in with her little blitz, and she wants you to engage in her, because what she'll do is then she'll plant her feet and she'll just throw it's like a quick blitz. She has set combinations that she throws every time someone comes in. She has a set combination which she'll just blitz out with, and then she goes again. And most times what happens is it catches people out because they're coming in, like they might come in with a jab or right straight or like a jab straight hook or leg kick or something, and they're coming in with their set combination. But what Danielle Taylor does is she throws her combo just on that last strike that you've done, and then she gets a kind of abundance of strikes on you. I think you're not going to see that this time. The reason is you've got a girl in Zhang who we'll call her Miss Willie, because she is legit. I think she's going to be a great addition to strawweight. I believe Will is going to agree with me when he talks about it. This girl can do pretty much all of it. She can strike, and when I say strike, she can punch, kick, mix the combinations up, spinning kicks, all sorts of clinch work, devastating clinching. She can take you down. She can beat you on the ground, off the back. She's got a great, she's got a great kind of skill set coming into the UFC. I think she's going to be a great addition, hands down. Do I think she stops Taylor? I think Taylor is tough, don't get me wrong. I think she's legit tough. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to think Willie stops her in like, I'm going second round stoppage, but it could be the first. I think Willie's going to absolutely shock the world with an absolute epic performance. Will, how do you see it going?
Yeah, it's like this was an interest. I'd heard about this girl before, and I think I'd seen one fight from maybe, I want to say 2016 maybe. But obviously with the amount of fights that we have, you kind of forget about certain fighters, and then when you see debut fighters coming up, I always get excited for that, for new fighters coming in. And I actually went, and she was the last one I watched tape on this morning, and I loved everything that I saw out of that girl. When I watched the first couple of fights, the word that came to mind was buzzsaw. Buzzsaw. She just goes and goes and goes. She is dangerous everywhere. She's got vicious, well, for a girl, vicious striking. She'll mix up, she'll go to the body. She spins, and really fast spins at that. She can get you in a clinch position. She can annihilate you with knees. She's got takedowns. She's got guillotines. She's got arm bars, you name it. She's got wrestling. She finds a way to mount, like full mount, really easily. So if she gets you down, she goes to side control, and then within seconds she's in full mount, and you're in deep shit. And that's when she can find you with submissions, heavy ground and pound. She's got a lot of fights under her belt as well, which I like. 17 fights. She lost her first fight. I was trying to find that fight earlier on, but I could not find it for the life of me. Our opponents are not the greatest, let's be honest, but she's dealt with them the way that you should kind of deal with them, and that's taking them out in the first and second round, which is obviously going to garner a lot of confidence in doing so. Danielle Taylor's going to want nothing but stay at distance and try and catch her with the aggressiveness of Zhang coming forward, and maybe pot shot her then move, pot shot then move. You're not going to do that for 15 minutes against this girl, because she's so dynamic in so many facets of the game, that she's going to get into a position where she's dominant over you. And usually when she does that, she stops fights. Danielle Taylor, like I say, she might be able to survive a bit longer than what a load of her opponents have before. But I'm going to pick her to finish the fight. I think she'll submit her. I think eventually she'll find a way to get her to the ground. I think she'll find a way to get to that mount, and then she'll give up her back and she'll get a rear naked choke. Taylor will start tapping out. And like I said, she's a great addition to this division. I think a lot of people are going to be fun when they sit down and they watch the fights before she goes into the UFC, and hopefully she can replicate that against better opposition in the UFC. But saying that, was she 115? So she
won, no, 16 and 1, isn't she?
Yeah, but what division is she? 115 a
Oh, 115. Sorry, yeah, 115.
So
sorry, I thought you meant
there's good people. There's good people she can have fights in there. If she was at 125, she would run through a lot of girls up there. With these, 115's a better division than that, but she's going to be a great addition. I'm going to pick Zhang via submission.
Next up, bro, we've got the bantamweight division. Two talented, great guys who aren't. They're not in that kind of top echelon yet, in the top like 10. But I think in a few years' time, that both of them could very well be settled in there. We've got Ricardo now. it's pronounced Hamas, but we say Ramas because we're not from Latin America. And then you got Kyung Kang. Bro, man, this is a fight. I admit, this prelim card has got some seriously good fights. This is a good fight. Let's hear it, bro.
Yeah, outside the two top fights, this is the fight that I when I heard this was announced, I was like, ooh, I really like that. There's some fights you'll see announced, you're like, whatever. This one, I was literally like, oh shit, that's a good fight. I instantly started thinking about outcomes of this fight. And two guys I really like a lot. I must admit, I'm a big fan of Ricardo Ramos. I'm a big fan of Kang. I have been for a long time. I think those guys from Correia just fight hard. They're big. They're usually massive for the divisions, no matter what division they're in. And I think that it was good to see Kang come back last time. He did look a little bit rusty, but 4 years I think it was off. It's going to show. But he beat a guy in Canada. Now, he took a few licks in that one, but I think that's where I think the rust was coming in. If that was two guys, or if that was him fighting every 6 to 8 months, I don't think Canada would really lay much of a hand on him personally. But eventually he caught that submission, and then Canada could do nothing with him because his control was so good, and just the weight that he was carrying was too much. Ramos, I think I've beaten him. His first 2 fights in the UFC, I think he was a giant underdog against Tanaka, and just from the minute I seen him, I thought this guy's going to be really good. Tanaka, we all know what he's about. He's taking you down, trying to dominate you from the top. He couldn't do that, and he was eating shots. He get hit with a big right hand as he was coming in the first round, and pretty much dominated from there on out. But Tanaka did get takedowns, and I think the way that Kang wins this fight is through takedowns and control. Now, Ramos comes from a BJJ background, but I think he's fallen in love with his striking a little bit much, and after his last knockout of Ayman Zahabi, I think that might be a little bit of a case here. I think that was a vicious knockout. I mean, really, Zahabi's not been seen since, and we might not see him for a while yet, because that was a vicious knockout. And to be fair, I think he was dominating that fight. He was the more crisper striker, landing the better shots. For me here, it's if Kang can establish maybe against the cage and find a takedown, which Tanaka did, and if he gets the opportunity to go in the bottom, I think he will control large amounts of time of this fight. The one thing I like as well, he's got a really good body triangle, and he can move. If he's on top, he can move so quickly to the back and take your back, and he's dominating from there. And you're not going to get out for this guy because he's so long and he's very, very strong. Like I say, these Korean guys, I don't know how they manage to make some of the weights they do, but with the size that they're at, he's got a massive reach as well. I think they're both similar size, height-wise. For me, it's hard picking against Ramos because I am a fan of his, but I think that Kang has got the more experience. I think he's got the better grappling kind of credentials and wrestling credentials here over someone like him. I think he can win large parts of the fight with that control on the ground, and I think I've seen some people say sub or bust. I don't think so. I think he can contend with him on the feet a little bit, but eventually I see this fight hitting the ground, and I see someone like Kang just being the better guy down there. Ramos is still that guy coming into the UFC that we don't know much about. He could very well be good, but I just think that Kang, I think he's just going to put it on him a little bit here, and I think he could get the finish. I think a decision's where I'm going to go, because I think Ramos is tough, but a great fight. But I'm going to go Kyung Kang.
I like that breakdown, bro, and I'm siding with you as well with Kang. A big factor for me is the IQ for Ramos in fights is a big factor. Like you say, that Zahabi can knock out. It happened, but the thing was that should not have had to go that far in the fight. He ripped him up in leg kicks, and it was very obvious and clear that Zahabi was hurt and affected very early on the round, in the first round, with leg kicks. And from then onwards, he stopped doing the effective strike, which was the leg kicks, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, dude, he didn't check anything. His shin was alright. You could always switch it to an inside leg kick. It still has the same effect. I couldn't get... And it just couldn't... I can't let that drop. It's still in my head that if you can't stop something like that and you let that go, what happens when you're fighting someone else like Kang and it happens again? I don't think he sees stuff that probably is obvious. Maybe I'm not sure. I think maybe he sticks to like a game plan. He doesn't like to divert. He's scared of the risk factor maybe. And I think that also for me, Kang showed in that Canetti fight. He showed a bit of ring rust. Fair enough, dude. Like anyone's been out for that long, kudos. Like Canetti came at him like a buzzsaw, like you said before, bro. He did. Like Canetti just went full blow because he knew that Kang was going to be a bit out of sorts. Time was going to be out, and Canetti kind of just sprinted at him and just threw everything. But what I loved was there was that moment when Kang caught him and just switched on. He just went, now I'm going to fight, bitch, and he just smashed him to the ground, and just that was it. It was over as soon as he switched it on. This fight, he's going to be switching it on from that bell. He's not going to have that ring rust. He's not going to have that, I'll get my timings. And this is what I think is a difference. I think there's a viciousness to Kang that isn't quite there with Ramos. And that's going to be the deciding factor. I think Kang's going to get him down, but I think Kang's going to hurt him. I think he's going to really bust Ramos up in this one. And I think he'll get I'm going to go for Kang's stoppage in the third, because I think he's just going to have that nastier streak about him and just have a bit more fight IQ around in this fight. Okay, next up we have in the flyweight division, off his peculiar UFC debut win, we'll call it that, Jose Shorty Torres against Alex Perez. It's a tough fight for Jose Torres, this Alex Perez fight, man. Like, I like Jose Torres. I've interviewed him loads of times, talked to him a lot before he even signed up to the UFC. He's and he is a legit talent. I think he is going to be in the UFC for a while. There's no worries about him getting, he's not going to be gone anytime soon. But, your first two fights in the UFC, Gerald Brooks, Alex Perez. Pretty heavy going. So, this fight against Alex Perez, let's go with Alex. Dude, that guy is he's very much like Shorty Torres. They're both aggressive. They both like to move forward. It's just their style. They're not really ideally good at going back and counter-striking. It's just not the way the pair of them fight. But Perez got some good takedowns.
Yeah.
Really good takedowns. And that's, I think, all you're going to see in this fight. Because you saw what happened in the last fight with Jose, and you're just gonna copy and paste. I think Perez is going to set it up a lot better with the strikes. I think he's going to be a bit more aggressive with the striking, and then shooting for those takedowns. Kind of, like when fighters land him in key times in bouts in certain, after maybe like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, get the takedown. If Torres gets up in that time, wait a little bit, leave it till about a minute before the round finishes, that minute 30-second mark, get another takedown before the end of the fight, get it in the referee. Those kind of, I think it's going to be one of those kind of fights. Now, don't get me wrong, Jose Torres got some really good striking as well. Good counter, he can land some good strikes and fight back. I don't know if Torres had enough time since that last bout to really get what he needs in to stop what Perez is going to do. I don't doubt for any second, and I feel at this time it will be a decision win for Perez because of those takedowns, and I think it's going to. And I hate to say it because I love Shorty Torres, but I'm going to go Perez decision.
Yeah, I was a little bit kind of weird about the fact that he's back in here, pretty much 6-7 weeks after fighting in New York, after the Liverpool card. So it's like very early June and into early August here, so 8 weeks round about there. So. Yeah, I love the fight, actually. I think it's a really good fight. When I heard about it, I thought it's a tough fight for both guys. I've been on Perez in his first 2 UFC fights. I think that he's got a lot of experience. Comes from a great camp.
20-odd fights, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, 20. I think he's 20-1. So, guy's legit prospect. He's beat who he's supposed to beat in the UFC with beating...
Della Torre?
Shelton,
Della Torres, was it?
Carl's John DeTonis
Shelton.
And Shelton, where he pretty much did kind of what he wanted to majority of that fight, and well-timed takedowns throughout the whole entire fight, and just really dominated him with those takedowns. I'm seeing a lot of people really high on Alex Perez, and I can see why. I think he is a really good prospect, but I still think that Jose Torres is the guy's won belts in simultaneous weight classes. Not many people go around doing that. He's still young. He's still going to be improving. Love the fact that he's did all this camp with Kyoji Horiguchi, fought earlier on this morning at Risen. That was his main training partner for this whole entire, 6 weeks or however long he was out of the gym for. So he's been in there with a legit top 3 flyweight in the world, in my opinion, and no matter where he fights. Second, yeah, he could, whatever, he's in that top 3 at least. Maybe have to put a Cejudo or a Benavidez around there. I think probably the second best flyweight there is. So he's fighting and he's sparring with legit guys. Perez is in a great camp. He's obviously been in the champ camp, or the ex-champ camp, sorry, I should say, with Cody, who... So those two getting ready for this fight. They had a really good card with Northcott and Glenn all winning fights. So, and obviously the Alex Munhoz last week in the Dana White show won his fight against Nick Newell. So camp's in good spirits. I just think that people are forgetting that Jose Torres is a legit talent, and it's they're kind of writing him off after that first fight. Now it was a little bit worrisome to see Jared Brooks kind of throwing him around a little bit, because Perez has got grappling credentials and grappling skills, good grappling skills. But for me, I just think that Torres he has to improve on that since his last fight. If he doesn't, I think he probably loses the fight. So I'm kind of banking on that he's made some better moves and shoring up that takedown defense. I don't think Perez is as strong as what Brooks is. Brooks is really explosive and very stupid at the same time, where Perez is more calculated. If he doesn't get the single, he will go for the double. He will drop down for the single and try and get you there. He will work and chain wrestling together to try and get this fight to the mat. I think he will get the fight to the mat at some point, but I think that Torres, for the majority of the fight, stops those takedowns. I think on the feet, he's the better striker with more variety, and he switches his stances a little bit more. So I'm going to go Jose Torres via decision.
Ooh, like it. I like it. Okay, next up in the featherweight division. Okay, Matt Sayles against Sheymon Moraes. So, Will, a bit of talk on Twitter about this. It's a bit crazy. Do you want to go and give us the breakdown and let people know what you think?
Yeah, I had the matchup and I thought, right, okay then. I knew that Matt Sayles was coming off that hype off the Dana White show, and I knew who Sheymon Moraes was due to the fact that I do watch some World Series of fights, and the guys that he's fought have been decent guys, and he fought a tough guy in his UFC debut. Then I thought, right, I'm going to go have a look at the betting lines, and I went and had a look, and I was like, what? Like, this guy's the favourite over Sheymon Moraes? It's like, how does he? I don't know how you warrant this guy being a favourite over Sheymon Moraes, in my opinion. Now, I think he's a good fighter. I think this is a drastic step up from anything that he's faced before. I think Moraes is extremely solid, very, very educated jab, beautiful switch kicks, and very fast, and he will throw them to the body, he will throw them down below, and he will go up high. And he caught the beat with a couple of kicks as well. Who's a big guy, and he got that leg up there really super quick. Showed that he's got a little bit of deficiency with the takedowns. I don't think Sayles is going to get this guy to the ground. I really don't. So for me, when I look at these two guys together, it's going to become a fighting exchange, and I'm going to go with the far better and more well-rounded striker, in my opinion, in Sheymon Moraes. Not saying that Matt Sayles can't go in here and use his wrestling, which I think, if I'm him coming from Alliance with Dominic Cruz being as smart as he is, and he trains a lot with Dominic Cruz, I think you should try and get this guy to the ground, because I think you can control aspects of the fights a longer periods down there against this guy. But Zabit got that guy down, and he managed to move position. So with a guy that big framing off him and managing to kind of move to different positions. Now, he never really had much luck getting back to his feet, but Sayles is nowhere near the size of what Zabit is, so the control I don't think is going to be there. For me, I think Sheymon Moraes can knock this guy out. I think his striking is so crisp and so good, very, very technical, that I think he can catch him with straight shots and put this guy down. So I'm going to go Sheymon Moraes via knockout in the first couple of rounds. I think he's just the better fighter with the more experience against the better guys. It makes no sense to me, this betting line at all.
Yeah, I I saw it online, and I kind of had to second guess. I had to check it myself just to make sure that maybe someone had one betting site that maybe was off, and just to make sure that. But everywhere it's just everyone's saying this. I don't know. Like you say, but I don't know. But shh, everyone, let's keep it between us. So yeah, Matt said. Don't get me wrong, Matt's a good guy. Like, he's a good fighter. We're not discrediting what Matt can do.
Can I just 1 second? Mirbek Taisimov.
Yes, he's got an opponent for Moscow.
You know who he is?
Do I want to know? Yes, I do.
Desmond Green.
Oh, Desmond, I'm sorry.
Desmond, yeah, I've just literally got that right now. I've seen that, so.
Oh,
yeah,
bless him.
Get back to it. Sorry, I just
Taisimov tweeted last night during the Calgary card that he had an opponent. I was over the moon, but man, I feel bad for Desmond.
Yeah,
Dude, man, it's nothing against Desmond, folks. He ain't gonna win that fight.
Yeah.
Matt Sayles, like me and Will said, he's not a bad fighter. He isn't. He can fight. He's got legit skill set. He's a good fighter. But like you said, I just think Moraes has got a really good striking combinations. He mixes it up really well. Like, there's a beautiful finish that Moraes has done against. I'm going to forget now who it was outside of the UFC. A walking an elbow, just like a stepping elbow. It was deadly, and you see from there that's confidence in a striking skill set that he knew that when you know your range measurement for landing elbows, that's scary, people. That's like, there's levels to knowing what your striking range is. Like, a lot of guys in MMA don't know what range is. They haven't got a Scooby what it is. But when you can know when your elbows are going to land, oh boy, you're fucked. End of. So I think Sayles in for a rough night. Don't get me wrong, Moraes can be caught and he can be clipped. And the problem is, Moraes, when he starts to go, he does sometimes the classic bite down, stand, plant his feet and just swing. And it's the wrong thing. Like, he's so much better than that, but he gets dragged into it. It can get him caught out. But I think it's not going to happen here. I think Sayles is going to try to go for the takedown. Like you said there, Well, before you did say it. I think he's going to try. He's going to fail. Don't get me wrong. He's going to get into the cage a couple of times, and it's going to be the classic underhook battle. And I think Moraes he's got the experience and knowledge. He's quite heavy set as well, Moraes. You know, he's quite a thick-set dude. So I think he'll have the kind of power to get Sayles off a couple of times. And when you've missed a couple of times, it really deflates your confidence for Sayles, and that's when I think Moraes will start to pick it apart. I'm with you. I think it might be like a crazy kind of elbow, something even from the clinch work when Sayles going for the takedowns, he get him back up. He maybe reverses it on the cage and just lights him up with the punches and elbows. And I'm going to go for like a second round finish for Moraes, because I think Sayles will just tire himself out in the first with missing out on those takedowns. And next up, in the women's bantamweight division, the queen of the bantamweight division, Bethe Correia, the pound for pound pay-per-view queen, as we all know, against Aldana. Now, this fight and this matchup being made, there is one way that this fight can go, bro. And Aldana can win this. Legit, she could easily win this. And there's one simple way to go. She just needs to open this fight and matchup by keeping it long, because she'll definitely have that kind of footwork and movement away from her. If she can just pick away with a couple of leg kicks, and she needs to open up, though, with simple combinations like a strike, jabs, throw the leg kicks to get in Betche's head about checking leg kicks, lifting that leg, getting that leg worried, and that head kick's going to be there. The first thing I would want to do is threaten with that head kick. Get that in, because it's going to be in your head. It's going to be in her mind. But open up those leg kicks. You know, go downstairs to get upstairs, folks. And that's what as long as Aldana can do that, I legitimately think she can do it. I think Betche's going to have a bit of a problem here. I think she's going to have a problem trying to catch Aldana. And Aldana's actually going to get Betche down because of the over-aggressiveness from Betche trying to catch something. And it always looks like Correia is like a plod, like she's on a horse. Do you know when she kind of clops over to someone? I love it. Don't get me wrong. There's something about it. It's kind of, I kind of find it kind of pity. I don't know what it is, but I think Aldana will get the takedown in, and more than once. But I think Aldana could finish this fight as long as she does that one little thing. That fight is there for her to take off. But I think she'll beat Bethe. I think Betche's winnable, especially after that fight with Holly, that knockout. I'm curious to see what she can do. I think that's there. I think it's a great opportunity. If Bethe gets a bit confident again, a bit over cocky, she's going to open herself up. So I'm going Aldana stoppage, 3rd round. Going crazy. It's not. I'm going crazy. I think she can get a head kicker. Go on, let's do it again. Another head kick.
Yeah, the funniest thing ever is still her and Holly Holm, where she's like, come on, and fucking whack, cleaning the head, and then she's like, and she's getting uppercut in the face. It's brilliant. It is one of the funniest things that I've seen in the last few years in MMA fights. But yeah, I think Aldana's I think she's faster, and she's got that reach. She's got the boxing skills over Correia. Correia's a toughie. She can be a little toughie, but she's not good really in any aspect of the game. I'm surprised she's won as many fights as she has in the UFC. In saying that, Aldana, the gloss, I had high hopes for an Invicta. I haven't seen it kind of transfer over to the UFC, but I think this is a good opponent for her, and I think they're putting in a good market here in California with the Mexicans and all that. But you can never count out Correia, just the fact that she's faced better opposition, and to be fair, she's kind of got destroyed when she has faced that better opposition. But this is maybe opposition that she can fare a little bit better with. But I just think she's going to be at the end of a jab all night. I think that Aldana really, I thought she should have finished that last fight against Bernardo. She had her so many times and kind of let her off and kept her in the fight. I think that Correia is just going to get outboxed. I think her face is going to look a bit of a mess at the end of this fight. And for me, it might improve it a little bit, but I'm not going to pick Bethe in this fight. I just think that Aldana's got clear advantages here with the striking, with the speed, with the length. I struggle to see where Bethe, unless she wins like a really sloppy split decision or something, like she did against Jessica, where I still think she lost that fight. I'm going to go at Irene Aldana. I think she boxes the face off her for 15 minutes.
Next up is a fight in the bantamweight division. You might think this fight is turned into Dana White Tuesday Night Contenders, but it's not. It seems like it. You got Ricky Simone taking on Montel Jackson. Take it away, Will. Give people an idea of what's going down, and also a little insight into Montel Jackson.
Yeah, we'll start with Ricky. He's coming off that fight with fucking Merab Dvalishvili, which was absolutely crazy, where there was just stuff going on that entire fight. Then at the end, Merab got choked out. Didn't look like he got choked out, but then went to sleep and then woke back up again. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen.
Like at the buzzer, wasn't it? It was like, it was weird, yeah. A split second before it, whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, it was a really fun fight. There was a lot of action in that one. Merab started off really quick. Ricky kind of stood in there and kept himself in the fight and landed some big shots. And I think if that went to decision, I think Merab was probably going to get it. So for him to pull that out shows what he's all about. He got outstruck, he got taken down far too much. I think this is a good opponent. I thought him against Lopez was going to be a really good fight. Benito Lopez, I thought it was going to be an all-action fight. But he is coming back fairly short notice. He is coming back from April. So he's got 3 or 4 months after that fight. And he's against someone, Montel Jackson, who we saw, I think it was the Dana White show.
Yeah.
I want to say a couple of weeks back. Undefeated guy.
It was June sometime.
Yeah, so it's not all that long ago where he looked decent on the show. No, I don't think he got a contract, so did he? Or did he? No, he never. I don't think he did. So he's obviously got pulled in here, obviously on Lopez, who suffered a really nasty injury to his ankle. But he looked really good, composed in that fight against Rico de Chulio. I just think he's overall a really, really solid guy. He's very fast, got power. You have to be careful. He's not. I think majority of his guys out there he's faced. I think Ricky can get him down. And the one loss that I've seen on Montel's record and the fight that I've watched, it was an amateur fight. He got submitted. I don't think Ricky's the guy that's maybe going to submit him, but I think he can get plenty of takedowns. I can see Montel getting back to his feet, but I can see it being rinse and repeat for Ricky getting those takedowns. But he needs to be careful because he does eat a lot of shots, does Simone. And if he catches the wrong one here, he could get put down against Montel. So I feel more confident picking Ricky via decision, though.
Yeah, especially like you say, because it's Montel's recently fought. You think about, well, he didn't have a full. It's not theoretically like a full fight camp. A lot of factors come into it. Look, I know Ricky from Titan FC days, from interviewing him. I've watched him back then as well. Dude's powerhouse. He is a legit guy. He can when he's on the aggressive and on the offensive. I've seen him throw guys around, and I think that will happen here with Montel, like you said before, the rinse and repeat. And I think we'll see this. I think he'll try and get as heavy as he can on Montel, try and wear him out and time out, and that's going to be the story of round one, because you'll take the pop out of Montel's hands. That is all he'll want to do, even if it's a cage fight. Even if they're on the cage and it's a grappling bout of underhooks and they're just switching between who has one and who has the other, and then they reverse positions up against the cage. That won't bother Ricky, because that's what he wants. He wants Montel's arms gassed a bit slower. The pop is gone, and then the second round, I think you'll see Ricky. He's always open to taking a couple of hits, but he'll be a bit more open to the exchanges with a bit more confidence that the potency isn't there from Montel, and that's when you'll see Ricky trying to throw a couple of more strikes to get the takedown in. But I still think it'll be rinse and repeat, but with more striking as the rounds go on. The second and third round, I think he'll try to throw a bit more just to distract Montel to get the takedown in. And again, I think it's a decision win for Ricky. I just think that kind of horrible, dogged style will just drain Montel out. I don't think it's not the ideal fight for Montel to have, but I think that's what will happen. With the main event, cracking bout for us Brits here, so to speak, mate. You got Pedro Munhoz against Brett Johns. Now, I think it's another one where I think Brett Johns come back a bit quick.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, bro. I think Brett Johns he's probably said, I want to fight as soon as possible. Fair enough. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get submitted. He didn't get clouted out. He wasn't sparkled or anything like that. So fair enough. He could feel like he can come back. He probably felt healthy. It was more just it was just more physically draining, that fight, than it was like an absolute drumming. But at the same time, I was like, I wouldn't mind. I would like it if Brett had came back maybe October time or something, or maybe come back on the Russia card. I would have thought the Russia card maybe would have suited him a bit better, give him a bit more time, give him the summer, do some more training, XYZ, get himself to prep for that. But anyway, he's got, a horrible match here. Pedro Munhoz again. To be fair for Brett though, he's never going to get easy fights now. It's just going to be one. It's going to be one savage after another. Look, people, all Brett needs to do is keep his fight standing. There's no two ways about it. I think Brett's got good footwork. He's got power. He's got good boxing, speed, combinations, a lot. I rate Brett very highly. I think he just needs to be a bit more patient with the striking, not get sucked into a high combination volume. Just keep it low. Simple one, a simple jab or simple jab straight or jab straight hook. Just keep it no more than 3. Get out. Just keep it down, like the kind of like the quack fight that he had. Like just bam bam, pop out. Munhoz is, I don't think Brett. I would, if I was Brett, I wouldn't go for the takedowns, because we know what Pedro Munhoz is pretty good at wrapping an arm around anyone and everyone's neck. I think Pedro Munhoz probably would like it on the ground himself. But for me, I think his striking is. Don't get me wrong. I like Pedro Munhoz as a fighter. I think he's very good. I've got a lot of favoritism towards Brett, but I'm trying to be as neutral as I can. I think Pedro's very good. I'm just going to pick Brett on a decision. I think Brett will keep it standing this time. Brett's very smart with his game plans. He picks the right guys to take down and the right guys to stand up with. And I think Brett will stand this fight the whole time. As long as he can avoid some of the strikes that Pedro could catch him with, I think he should be fine with a decision win here.
Yeah. I'm struggling with this one. A lot of people are writing off Brett Johns from his last fight, and they're carrying into this one. I think he burned a lot of people. A lot of people bet on him. So I think people kind of.
Aljo's a great wrestler.
Yeah,
People need to remember, like,
yeah.
Aljo's like one of the best grapplers in the 135, hands down. Do you know, that's the thing. Like, MMA wise, like, he's probably one of the strongest MMA grapplers in the bantamweight divisions. People need to remember that's just something he can do really well.
Yeah, like I say, initially my lean on this was Brett Johns. I thought that when you look, they're pretty similar size, and Munhoz is a decent striker himself. He's got some power there, and he has to hurt people with head kicks and so on. Brett's got more physical attributes in this fight. He's got a longer reach, which I think he needs to use. I think it's like an 8-inch reach advantage he's got, so that's massive in a matchup. Use leg kicks. You can mark up someone like Pedro Munhoz very easily. You just can't make mistakes against Pedro, because if you do, he makes you pay for them very, very quickly. If you shoot on a sloppy takedown, and if you leave your neck in there for a second, you're goosed. You're in deep shit. And he's shown that in the past with, I think Rob Font was one of them. There was other people in the past that I can't remember off the top of my head. Justin Scoggins, who loves putting his head into guillotines and so on. I'm struggling with this. I think Brett Johns is live as fuck. I think he's a live dog in this one. I think the betting line should be a little bit closer. So if you want to take a shot on Brett Johns, I think it's a warranted shot, actually. I think he's got a good chance to win this one. For me, I think the fight's just going to be close. I think he's going to give Munhoz maybe a couple of opportunities to get off. I can see this being another frustrating performance from Brett, for the fact that he can win this fight, but he gives little edges to Pedro, and he takes them and does just enough. I see a split either way here. Flip of the coin fight for me. I'm going to go Pedro Munhoz. I've kind of changed over to him. But the thing is with Brett Johns, you can't underestimate. I think he's got really good defense, like takedown. I know he never showed against Aljo, but he has got some good takedowns himself with the defense. But he's also got some underrated jiu-jitsu. So if this goes to the ground and he's in a position to finish Munhoz, I think he could potentially finish him. So I'm going to go Pedro though. Close decision, like 51-49 in favour of Pedro. But I'm struggling to pick that fight, if I'm being honest.
It is a horrible one to pick. So this is the pay-per-view card. Let's go to the start. Legit fight. Cub Swanson. Okay. Renato Moicano. I like this fight. It's a good fight, Will. But let's see what your thoughts are on the fight and how this goes down.
Yeah, I love Renato Moicano as a fighter. You've probably heard me say this before. If you've been watching my videos, if some of you have come over and watched my videos in the past, you've seen that I really like the way this guy fights. I think he's a top 5 featherweight. I think now people are starting to see it. I think the bookmakers are starting to see it with the inflated line in this fight. The guy, he was beating Brian Ortega in that fight until he made a slight mistake, and that can happen with anybody in MMA. You could put a foot wrong, you could put your head where it shouldn't, and you're gonna pay for it. And that's what he did against Ortega. I thought he was up a couple of rounds, and he went in for a takedown against a guy that you really just don't go in for a takedown against. You don't try and get body to body against that guy, because you leave something there, that mofo's gonna take you down, or he's gonna grab something, he's gonna submit you. And that's what he's like. He took down Cub Swanson within inside 10 seconds. Cub Swanson was like, oh shit, he made that face. He's like, so he's like, yeah, he knew he was in deep shit. Moicano, the one thing I like about him, he's a crisp striker. Showed that in the fight against Calvin Kattar. People were writing off Moicano in that fight, and he was a betting underdog. I cashed that bet. I thought he's just the better overall fighter, even on the feet. He times takedowns really, really well. And he does them at perfect times of the round, where he will win the round. He'll put that exclamation point on the round. Cub Swanson, a lot of people this week are going to say, oh, this guy's done. You have to be careful with that guy, because people were saying that against Do Ho Choi, that the new breed was coming through, and he's gonna fade away into kind of obscurity, and we're not going to see him again. And then he's came back, and this guy really only loses to good fighters. He doesn't lose to bad guys. So, I mean, Frankie Edgar and Brian Ortega are two guys that are permanently put in the top 5. Before that, it was Holloway and Edgar. So it's like, this is another step up for Moicano. I just think that if he avoids the hands that Cub can throw, because he does have some pop in his punches and he does has a lot of speed, But there is opportunities where you can hit him back. We've seen Lobov hit him with some shots. Kawajiri even hit him with some shots. So I just think Moicano is too good a fighter all well-rounded right now to kind of deal with Cub Swanson. If you go back maybe 2 years ago, this would be a very, very close fight and the line would be a lot closer. I don't agree with the line being so heavy in Moicano's favour, but I do agree that he wins the fight, and I think he can look fairly dominant in doing so. He keeps a nice long left jab as well, but like I say, boxing skills, Cub's got that there. I think he's tailing off a little bit, but he's still only losing to legit guys, and you just can't put this guy at the side and say, look, he's done. I'm going to go Moicano. I think he could possibly stop him via submission, but I think the more realistic outcome of the fight is probably going to be decision.
It's a hell of a fight. And Cub Swanson, my only kind of gripe with Cub was I think it was maybe 2 years ago, he started doing that a lot of boxing, didn't he, with Reyes boxing or whatever it was. And that was it then. He just kind of stuck at it too much for my liking. He just wanted to be like an MMA boxer. And I was like, dude, you had some awesome, fun combinations with kicks, and that worked. That's what made me fall for like a fighter, Cub Swanson. Like, my heart was into Cub for years, and I was like, dude, like, it's exciting. He just throws anything like that. He was just so unpredictable with his combinations. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And then he just started to go boxing. And it just kind of went, oh, dude, the problem is you fall into predictability. And the other problem was your footwork changed. Your footwork becomes a bit more boxing, and then you start getting a bit more open to takedowns. And against Moicano, you don't want to go to the ground with him. You don't want to be on your back with this guy. He's a horrible guy to go against. But I think you're going to see Moicano take him down. Not early on, but I see maybe halfway through the first round, I think you'll start to see him get it down, because that is the kryptonite to Cub Swanson. Like, why bother staying there and standing and striking with Cub Swanson when you know there's a pretty strong Achilles heel for him on his back? And that is shown time and time again for Cub, that he's got that hole in his game that he's not filled. He's not fixed it. He's definitely, for the years that he's been competing, he should by now have fixed that. One guy comes to mind who had a hole in his game, went and addressed it. He didn't put a lot into it. He just fixed that one bit. Michael Bisping. His takedown defense was abysmal, and he went off, fixed it, and got it sorted. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, let's say Tim Kennedy fight, he kept getting taken down, but he kept getting up, and that was the difference. Back in the day, he was not able to get up. And this is what we're seeing. Cub Swanson isn't changing it so he can get himself up. He gets stuck. Like, Frankie, just get him down, drill him, beat him, over. I think Moicano's going to do the same, mate. I think his ground and pound's going to stop this fight. Third, I think it's just going to be... The striking's going to going to annoy Cub, because Moicano's going to win the striking. And then when he gets him on the ground, he's just going to batter him with it. And I think third round stoppage for Moicano, the ground and pound, bro. Yeah, I'm going gangster with the decision. I love Cub, don't get me wrong, but Moicano's just beautiful to watch. He's really going to come in. He's also going to have a lot of confidence, Moicano. Like you said about the Brian Ortega, I take a lot from that. I'm like, I was an idiot, I messed up. Another one, like Ian McCall, he was beating John Lineker, and then he messed up by going for a guillotine and getting caught in a silly guillotine when he was winning the fight the whole time, and then that lost him ultimately the fight. So you live and you learn. That is the fight game. Next fight coming up is women's strawweight bouts. Polyana Viana against JJ Aldrich. I like this fight, Will. I do. I like the matchup. I wouldn't put it on the pay-per-view card, but I like the potential we have in Polyana. I think she's got a lot of potential in it. I think she's going to be a great addition in a couple of years to the top 10 strawweights. I think Polyana's going to be in there. I think JJ Aldrich is a great fighter anyway. I thought a lot about her in Invicta. Polyana she gets you down on the ground. Woo, that girl is legit. She will just do what she wants. She's like a spider wrapping a web around her prey. Whew, she is lethal. I love watching it. In fact, I hope that it goes to the ground so I get to see what she does next. That's what I like about this girl. But yeah, you got to get JJ Aldrich to the ground, and She is a beast. JJ Aldrich is such a good work ethic. She is constantly moving her feet. She's not moving them back and forth. She's going left to right, angles. She moves in such good, it's so good to watch. Like her evolution. If you watch her Invicta fights, people, I implore you to watch her from Invicta. You could see the potential there, and it's starting to slowly just always come together and come together and come together. It's great to watch JJ build and build and build. Her hands are terrorizing. She is just because she puts you, she breaks you down, she breaks your rhythm. She doesn't let you get going because she'll just have an output and a striking that will just throw you off. Bro, we spoke off air about this, but again, I think JJ can stop it getting to the ground. And I think Polyana's dangerous in that first round if she can get you down. But I think when you start getting tired, you start getting a bit sweaty, your arms are a bit heavy on that, and your mom's spaghetti, it gets that in the third round. I think JJ Aldrich can stop this in the first, and then she just starts to kind of pick away, gets a decision win. But I'm looking forward to both of these girls in the next 2 years where they'll be.
Yeah, good. Like I say, it's a good fight. It should never be in a pay-per-view section, any pay-per-view section really. But I think it's a solid matchup where Polyana's getting a big step up from who she fought in her UFC debut, who was she was not good, Maya Stevenson. But you saw that this girl's got some credentials on the ground. She's got some control. Once she gets the opportunity to grab a limb and fully extend it, she will take it. And when she does it, you see your opponent tapping. Think that she is a little bit open on the feet, but she has power. You've seen that fight. You've seen her fights before the UFC. She was knocking girls down with one shot. That doesn't happen all too often, so you have to be kind of careful of that. For me, I like JJ's outwork. I like her output. I like her work ethic. I like her speed. I like how she's cutting angles. Love the fact that she's training day in day out with Rose Namajunas, so she's got that champion's mentality kind of rubbing off on her. And the betting line in this is way off, like seriously off. I don't understand that. Now, I know that JJ Aldrich is not a world beater, but if this fight stays on the feet, for me, JJ is just, her output is just going to be far substantial to what Viana's is. Now, if it goes to the ground, then I think it gets really hairy because she is very, very, very good in the ground. She's a little bit scary down there. She moves to positions very quickly, and she's always looking to manoeuvre forward into better positions. And JJ, if she gets down there, she seriously needs to work her way back to her feet as soon as she can. For me, I just think that JJ's going to outwork her on the feet, and I think she's going to do that for at least 2 of the 3 rounds. And I think she can go harder as well, coming from elevation. I think she can go hard for 15 minutes. So I'm going to go JJ Aldrich via a pretty unanimous decision here. I think it's someone I'm looking to bet on, possibly.
Oh, nice. We'll talk about that very soon, folks. Next fight up in the middleweight division. A very late edition, though. Like, they literally announced this fight a few days back. It's weird. Thiago Santos against Kevin Holland. Now, before you say, who's Kevin Holland? He's from Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Will, talk us through this pay-per-view fight, please.
Yeah, it was a weird. I think it was just a late edition because Gustafsson got brought off the card.
Yeah, because Volkan Oezdemir broke his nose.
So Khalil wanted to step up, and the UFC were fine with that, but I don't think Gustafsson said he had an injury and so on. So whatever. And this fight literally got made, I think, last week. So Kevin Holland's a guy that I've known about for a couple of years because he's a flashy, kind of dynamic guy that he was out in the regionals and he was winning fights fairly convincingly and looking flashy doing it. Came into the Dana White Contender Series and I thought he looked shit. I did not think I thought he dropped the ball big time in that fight. He had an opportunity to really establish himself in the UFC. The thing is with this Dana White show now, you just have to win fights and you're guaranteed you're probably going to get a fight. When fights start to get pulled or fighters pull out, you're going to get a call. So that's not a bad thing actually that this is happening. It's happening weekend, like Matt Sayles has happened here and Montel Jackson. So you win a fight, you're going to get your shot in the UFC regardless. I think Kevin Lloyd has a really good chance to win here. For the fact that Santos is one-dimensional. The one dimension that he uses is deadly as fuck, though. If he hits you with that baseball bat of a left kick, you're going to feel it, and we've seen that on numerous occasions. But Kevin Holland can be that guy that maybe stays on the outside, picks his shots, and as Thiago comes in, he can maybe catch him with a shot and put him down. Would not surprise me. I see this being really close, but I see Thiago's power potentially scaring off Kevin Holland a little bit and maybe keeping him at a distance and not wanting to come forward and throw as much as what he has done in previous fights. So for me, I'm going to pick Thiago Santos. Do I pick him via stoppage? It's hard to see him like dominating a fight over 15 minutes, though. I struggle to see that.
He did against Elias Theodoro.
He did,
and that was purely because Elias just did not give up.
No,
like Thiago mauled him by the end of that fight, and somehow Elias was alive. It was bonkers watching that. But yeah, that's the only time I can really think.
Yeah, because when he wins fights, he stops guys. He's the only guy that he beat was like Elias Theodoro, and that's the only guy I think he's beat by decision. So if I'm going to pick Thiago Santos, I have to pick him via stoppage. I don't think he wins. He can win a decision. He's won it before. He's did that before, but I think this is a little bit of a ropey match for him. He's got nothing to gain and everything to lose in a fight with this against the guy.
Big time.
So the pressure's on him and not his opponent. Like I say, I think Kevin Holland's live, but I feel more confident picking Thiago Santos in this one here.
Yeah, Kevin is live because he's unpredictable. Like you said, he does throw. Like the Dana White show griped me because I was like, "You're trying too hard," is what I thought. It looked like he was trying too hard to finish in the flashiest way you could think of, and I was like, "Just finish the fight." You had he had an 8, 9, he had like obscure, I think he had like 10-inch each. It was crazy. He had a stupid reach advantage. Like the UFC gave him the shortest middleweight they could find. It was weird. It looked like 2 different weight classes. It was so much bigger than him. Yet he couldn't finish. He got hit. He was open. And the problem is, these flashy moves that he does, these flying, likes to do like a flying knee and stuff. He's very open to the counter there because he's got his hands down. If you've watched going back a bit in the day, folks, but for any of you newbies who don't follow MMA, there's a promotion called Affliction. And there was 2 men, one called Fedor Emelianenko. People might not know who he is. It was not too bad. And a guy called Andrei Arlovsky. And Arlovsky jumped in with like a Superman punch, and Fedor just stood still and just chinned him to death and took his soul in the same punch and knocked him flat out. And that can happen in this moment. I worry that Kevin might think, I'm on pay-per-view, the bright lights, here we go. And I worry that he's going to come in for silly finish the fight move. And Thiago's going to be like, bitch, if you see my left leg, my left leg is Thor's hammer. I'm going to smash through you and just destroy. And I just feel he's going to come out with something like. And I think as well, I don't think Kevin's fought anyone who can crack. Like, there's not like many guys like Thiago who could kick you and change your world. And I think that will throw Kevin off. So I'm going to go Thiago Santos with finish. And I think it's more because Kevin did something silly rather than just be smart in this fight. You're bigger, you're longer probably. Just pick him. Get a 3-round decision. Take it. You know what I mean? You don't have to finish fantasy. So yeah, I'm going to go crazy. But I do think it's a bit soon for Thiago Santos to come back after losing the branch and getting stopped. But that's just me. Next up in the co-main event, bro. Let's get excited for the pound-for-pound man himself, Demetrious Johnson. I know they got DC as pound-for-pound #1 rankings, but I'd still have Demetrious Johnson as pound-for-pound for me because I just think he's just a different human. He's not even human. He's Neo from the Matrix against Henry Cejudo in the rematch. So look, this rematch had to happen because there's not many other guys about, and the TJ fight didn't happen, which is frustrating. But this is why, you know, you kind of want TJ to win the main event so that he can go down to fight Demetrious. But Because if TJ doesn't win the main event, is he able to fight TJ? There's a lot of questions in this fight card alone for what happens with Demetrious Johnson's future. But anyway, he's fighting Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo's recently started to take like a kind of karate point style stance. Have you noticed that as well? Like, he was doing boxing, he had the golden gloves, then he went to that against Wilson Rice or Reese, whatever you want to pronounce it, and he did that and it worked for him. But let's be honest, Wilson was not the most pronounced known striker. So let's not look in that too much. Demetrious Johnson does not come in forward. He's got banana crazy angles, wonderful combinations. And in the rematches, Demetrious kind of smokes, dude. Like, he's like, I know what you've got to offer. You've probably got a couple of little things more, but guess what? I've got even more. And he will just... I think he's just going to totally... It will go longer, this fight, by the way. This fight will not be as quick as the first one. It'll go a bit longer. But I just think it will go longer because Demetrious is going to do so much more to kind of catch Cejudo out. I think Cejudo's going to be a lot more patient because if you watched the first time, he was very quick on Demetrious. Just wanted to grab him, just wanted to hold him. I think he's wary now of what the clinch game is that Demetrious Johnson has, which is a badass motherfucking experience. So I think Demetrious will back off. I think Cejudo will back off a little bit, try to be patient, try to enter straight in for the takedowns, which won't go well. And I think you're going to see Demetrious Johnson finish Cejudo later on in the fight. Submission, possibly this time round. Again, just, I think he's just going to look even better than he has ever before. I just can't look past Demetrious Johnson.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we come on, the showdown interview from last night, and I think it's fairly clear that Henry Cejudo maybe underestimated Demetrious Johnson a little bit. How you can do that when you see the list of victims he's got in his list, his kill list, it's beyond me. And he said something in that thing there, and he's like, I thought I could beat him 2 years ago, and I think I can, like, I'm 2 years further on, I think I can beat him. And the first thing that came to mind was, I was like, mate, you need another 2 years and you're still not going to touch this guy. I don't care what you do, not unless you've got Thor's power in your right hand and you've got a takedown where you're just going to, like, literally just lie in this guy and he cannot move. You're just not a better fighter than Demetrious Johnson. Now, you might be a better wrestler than Demetrious Johnson, and that's the one thing that scares me against picking against guys with Olympic level capabilities and gold medalists, is they are supreme athletes, and it's hard picking against those guys. I was in Las Vegas on April 23rd, 2016. I saw with my own two eyes from very close distance. I was cage side, around about cage side, and I saw him systematically dismantle that guy from the minute he got back up off his back. Now, fair dues to Cejudo for getting the guy down. He didn't stay there very long. He got bucked off really bad. And once he got back there, he absolutely shit-whipped that boy. He absolutely wiped him out. He pinpointed a soft spot, went for it, kept going to it, and just knocked him out. And it's still one of all the fights I've been to, it's one of the fights that sticks in my head. That's something I was like, wow. I was looking to my missus, and she watches the fights sometimes, and she gets into it sometimes, and she was sat there and she just went, wow. I was like, yeah, you just knew you were watching something special. Now, to be fair to Cejudo, he has made improvements. I just don't think it's anywhere near to stop a guy like Demetrious. He's going to pinpoint a spot where he's going to beat you, and he's going to go ahead and do it, no matter where it is. I'm excited that Demetrious is back. It's the first time he's back in 9-10 months, so he's been out a long time. I'm really happy to see him coming back, especially after his last finish against Ray Borg. I just struggle to see Cejudo having any more dominance over Demetrious Johnson than what he had in the first fight. He had like 5 seconds of dominance in that fight, and the rest of it, Demetrious just blew him out of the water. I don't see it changing here. I'd be super surprised if Cejudo went and did the business this weekend. But in saying that, I am scared of those Olympic caliber athletes. But when you're in a different sport, where the guy is just better, I think everywhere outside of the wrestling aspect, and he might not even be that bad a wrestler either. I can see him taking down Henry Cejudo without a doubt. I think he can do that. I think that's an ego thing as well. I think Demetrious will try and take him down. Demetrious Johnson, he's going to pinpoint a soft spot, he's going to attack it, and he's going to take out Henry Cejudo wherever it may be.
John Jones took down DC.
Yeah. I just think Demetrious can do whatever he wants against pretty much any fighter he wants. Yeah, in that division especially.
Yeah. I'm so happy he's back. Main event time. We've got the Cobra Kai Snake, TJ Dillashaw, against Cody No Love. Without being biased, Will, how are you looking at this fight? We're both excited about it, don't get me wrong, but let's hear it.
Yeah, this is one I've had circled on the calendar for a long, long time since I heard the rematch was getting put together. Way back in maybe April, I think it was announced. And I loved the first fight between these two. I loved the needle beforehand. Kind of loved the needle. I think it went a bit too far in some aspects, but still, when it got to fight time, you could tell these guys were going to throw down, and you knew that something bad was going to happen. The first round, it came out. You seen that TJ was a little bit unsure. There was that video obviously that came out. He's felt the power of Cody before. He's been put down with that power before, and you seen someone in Cody who was a little bit more stoic, took his time a little bit, and picked his shots a little bit better, and eventually caught him with a shot. Now, there's not many fights I will literally sit and I will write out lists of fighter skills and where they can win the fight. I've did this for this fight. I spent a good week putting things together that I thought were defining factors in this fight, and where both these fighters should excel. For me, if we're going to TJ, I think he's got a more rounded arsenal than what Cody has. I think he's the more versatile striker who can mix it up with different angles, with footwork, with leg kicks, with high kicks, and he will have wrestling. But I think that Cody will negate the wrestling because he is a underrated grappler. The one thing I think he can catch Cody on, I think if he throws more feints, he can get Cody to bite a little bit harder, and that will open him up to getting hit with a shot. I do think that Cody can bite at certain feints, but he needs to be smart. I think smarter footwork, angles, he will start to find the chin, or he will get more shots off in Cody Garbrandt. When you look at Cody, the one thing that sticks out for me from the first fight, he got cocky in that one. And Cody that I've met a few times and I've spoken to, he's not a cocky guy. But obviously when his confidence is sky high in the octagon, you see in the Dominic Cruz fight, it comes out in him more. And it did in this fight where he gave the middle finger, he was pointing, he was talking. He needs to cut that shit out personally. I think if he stays focused, it gives him, it just keeps all the bullshit out that can enter his head, and he can let stuff annoy him a little bit as well. We have seen that in certain things. The one big thing I like with TJ is he makes adjustments well, and I go on about this with certain fighters all the time. If you can make adjustments in fights, you can do that. In the first fight, he got put down hard. I still think 20 more seconds in that fight, TJ was not going to get back up. I thought he was going to be butchered out of that fight, and he was going to be staring at the lights. Got back to the corner, made adjustments, came in there, did the business. Like I say with Cody, keep your emotions intact. Don't get too cocky. He has in my opinion, he has a clear speed advantage, clear hand speed advantage. He has better combinations than what TJ has. I think TJ has more like versatile combinations where he will throw kicks with punches, where Cody really doesn't do that. He's got a lot of hand combinations which are really fast, and if it catches you a couple of times, you're in deep trouble. But like I say, clear advantage. Throw more combinations where you have TJ backing up. TJ's not the best fighter backing up and throwing strikes. So we've seen that a couple of times in the first fight. TJ jumped into a couple of shots where he was a little bit lucky, I thought, to not get caught with a shot because of the elite speed that Cody has. And the one big thing that Cody's got to his advantage is he's got a missile of a right hand. But he can get put down. We've seen that. If Cody can land that shot and put him down, then I see TJ struggling. Joe Rogan said it perfectly. If these guys fight 10 times, I see it being 5-5. I don't think there's anything between these guys. I really don't. I think the overall better fighter is TJ Dillashaw, personally. Honestly, I think he is, and that's kind of hard for me to say considering he's a snaky bastard, and I'm a big TJ Dillashaw, big Cody Garbrandt fan, I should say.
Too late, sir.
Yeah, too late, it's getting late. But I think that Cody's going to catch him this time. I think that TJ might the overconfidence might kind of flow through him here, and he might start quick. I think that Cody comes into it and catches some of the shot and actually knocks him out. Now that, I'll be honest with you, that's a fanboy pick, and I can't help it. Sometimes there's fights I can't help it. This is one of them, 100%. I want him to beat TJ Dillashaw. I want him to knock him out viciously. I want him to wake up and smell the canvas, and I want Cody to be dancing when he's down on the ground. But it's a close fight, and it really is. It's a toss-up coin fight, in my opinion. Could go either way. Who lands the first meaningful shot? I'm going with Cody Garbrandt to win via knockout in the first or second round. I'm probably going to go a first round knockout for Cody Garbrandt.
We should. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think he should catch him.
Oof, that was powerful. Look, I love the fact that we've got these two guys at the same time fighting in that division. Like, we should be so thankful. And then you've got Dominic Cruz floating around. You've got who else is it? Moraes as well floating around. We've just got such a cluster of fun guys in that division that I am so happy about that division. It's at the moment. It's kind of almost feel like it's peaking. It's riding that. Each weight class every now and then has a little wave, and I think this wave 135 has been going for a little while. Asun Sao as well. You know, you've just got an abundance of dudes in this weight class. Obviously, TJ Dillashaw. You said it yourself. Footwork, movement in the fights that they have. The fight they had, emotion was huge. It bugged me that Cody got so cocky in that first round. I was like, dude, A, you're getting cocky, and B, his emotions ran his head way too much. He was throwing, and you could actually see in that fight, he wasn't nowhere near as relaxed. He was quite tense because he was just wanting to land that punch so bad that he didn't think about the fight. He was just, he was throwing the head kicks as well that were just on their own. There was nothing else with them. Missing, never really landing. TJ mixing up the shots way better. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something a bit different from TJ here. Leg kicks, I think would be. I know it sounds crazy, but calf kicks, are not something you see often. I think if he's smart, he should start to land a couple of calf kicks now and then. If you can take away that front leg from Cody, you're really going to take a bit of that pop out of his right hand. You stop his move. He's not that mobile, Cody, so to speak. When he's coming after you, he's quite placid. When he's defending, that's when his head movement and his footwork actually starts to come. On a defensive standpoint, if you watch it back on like the Dominic fight, stuff, he has got okay footwork with the defensive side of things, but when he's offense, he's a bit too stationed for me. I would like Cody to throw a thing called a jab a bit more. Cody did loads of boxing. I don't see nowhere near enough jabbing. Because if he threw a bit more jabbing, that would throw off the timing for TJ. But he's not throwing it. He's letting TJ get in to get some strikes off, which I don't think is the best thing to do in this fight. I think if he threw a couple more jabs, in my opinion, it would just throw the timing off for TJ a bit more. It would make TJ have to change his fight game a bit. But I'm going to go TJ this time. Again, I don't think it's going to go like it is. I think we're going to get to like 4th, 5th round. I'd be surprised if there's a stoppage. But I think we're going to go 4th, 5th. I want to go very... if it's a stoppage, I think it's going to be 4th or 5th round. Because I think both of them know what kind of pop they're packing in each other in that last fight. So I think you'll actually see both of them be a little bit more cautious to each other. And I think you'll see a lot more creativity from TJ. I think Cody, again, is going to look for that right hand. But I'm going to go TJ decision. I don't think that Cody can't do it. I just think there's too much variety on TJ's side, and I think he's got Dwayne in that corner who can give him a little bit more insight to alter the fight game, like you said, adjustments in fights, and TJ can apply the adjustments because I think they will have drilled stuff. Like TJ's trained with Lomachenko. Good googly moogly. If you could train with Lomachenko, oh my god, I'd bite your arm off to train with that guy. He's a legend. He's going to go down as one of the best boxers in the world. Honestly, I just think TJ's got a little bit more on the adaptation in the fight, and I think that's going to hinder Cody in this fight, especially later on in the rounds, because Cody can't adjust his fight style as much as TJ can. So that's my thought on it. Sorry, bro, I didn't go Cody, and it kind of fanboy in me. It hurt, but I'm sorry. I'm going to try and be unbiased.
I'm hands up. It's a total fanboy pick for me. I want that. I'm taking my kind of prediction guy thing out the road. I can't help it with some certain fights. The Perez brothers, another one. I usually go that way with sometimes, but it's just such a good fight. I really want it to happen because then we get to see a third fight, and these two
But would we? Because you've got the other guys there who have kind of earned their shot. It'd be awkward, wouldn't it? It'd be tough.
Dillashaw doesn't lose to anybody outside champions, and I can see him beating guys like Moraes. But there's guys coming up in that division that's Peter Yan and fucking. There's so many guys that are coming through that we don't even know yet. That are, if they are the top notch guys, but I think they would end up with the UFC the way they are. They like trilogies. They will put together, so it's a money making thing. But like I say, fanboy pick on my side.
Yeah, because they'll probably do Dominic Cruz and Moraes anyway. So
Dominic Cruz just needs to fight again.
Yeah,
he really needs to fight again.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think he does need to fight again. I think him and Moraes might happen, but we'll see what happens with that. But we'll go to the bets now, folks. Will. Yeah. Like you said, there's some crazy odds going down this card this fight week. So, can you give people a bit of insight on what to maybe jump and look for now, or maybe think about parlaying and stuff?
Yeah, well, for me, I think this is an underdog card. I really do. I think there's good value bets. If you're picking them certain fighters, obviously, if you're picking those fighters to win, I think it's worth taking shots on. Fanboy bet, Cody Garbrandt, I'm getting out the road. Plus 125. I think those fights are a lot closer than what those odds kind of suggest. Personally, I think where the odds are now, I think Cody's plus 100. It's near a pick'em. To me, it's a pick'em fight, even though we've seen how it goes down. The other bet I made is Sheymon Moraes. I've absolutely no idea why he's the betting underdog in this one. When I watch the fights that I've seen, and Matt Sayles is still improving. Moraes has faced better caliber guys and beat better caliber guys as well. So, to me, that's another one. I'm probably going to bet JJ Aldrich. I'm probably going to bet Kang, and I think that's going to be my bets. I really want to bet Jose Torres as well. So there's 5 underdogs I'm looking at betting already. Looking at parlays, I don't think there's much on this card, honestly. I was looking at... who was it I was looking at as a parlay piece that I thought was good? Actually, Moicano, but he's quite high. The odds are like -300-400 in that guy. I don't think it's a parlay card. I don't think it's a parlay card at all. I think you've got to pick your spots.
Straight bets.
Yeah, straight bets, I think. The Germany card 2 weeks ago for me was a parlay card where you had people like Bermudez and Tybura, two really solid guys around that -200-250 that's going to give you plus money back. For me, it's just straight picks in this one, and it's underdogs. I picked like 5 or 6 underdogs in this one. I think if you're looking for a good parlay piece, probably the best one is Irene Aldana. She's -300. I think she's a bit of a lock to win that fight. So, yeah, for me, that's where I'm looking at, honestly. But if you're looking at props, Cody or TJ via knockout, I think it's a given. If you can get maybe over 2.5 or under 2.5, it's something you should look at. Demetrious Johnson inside the distance. I think you'll get a pretty number in that. And yeah, I just think for me it's an underdog betting card, and I'm going to take my shots, and hopefully if I'm making 4 bets, all I need is 2 guys to win, and I'll probably have a profitable night. So that's kind of where I'm looking about right now.
Nice, brother. Thanks for the tips, folks. If you got any bets,
also see like for DraftKings as well.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Chips. Chips mentioned the huddle last night when he won a qualifying seat in the big tournament.
Yeah.
Chips is a really good guy, a really good DraftKings guy that he's been killing it for the last year. If I'm being honest, he's a really, really solid guy. I think it's a great open DraftKings kind of week. I had a good week for DraftKings last week where I tripled my money. So I'm hoping I can pick the right guys and profit this week. But it's a good card, I think, with a lot of underdog potential.
I keep forgetting to do DraftKings.
Yeah.
UFC pick'ems, I know it's not, but I forgot to do that. I am pants.
Yeah, this finishes this week, the UFC pick. And I moved into the top 20. I moved into number 18 there, and I wanted to get in the top 10, so I'm probably going to miss out on that as well.
Yeah, I was absolutely gutted. I keep forgetting to do that stuff. But look, people, if you have any bets yourself this weekend that you're going to put on, or maybe any bets that you had this week that just went, that you came through to you, stick them down. Let's talk about them. Put them in the comment section, folks. We love to get involved in that. I am starting to slowly get me head into it. I had a profitable week this week with the bets, so happy days. So look, here we go. We've got question time. Here we go. So Jimmy the Drunk throwing us a question over. Thank you very much, brother. His Twitter handle is at Parolee Proud. So it's P-A-R-O-L-E-E Proud. Okay, his question is, and we had to have a think about this before we even did this, folks. Sorry, so we did kind of semi-cheat. We did this because it's a bit of a tough one. What fighter from Tough has surprised you the most for how much they have improved since they were on the show, all seasons included? Because there you go. That question alone is pretty tough because you don't think that is a lot of tough fighters. Because, gosh, you can go on with a heck of a list. So, well, you had a guy in your head that you thought of. So go ahead.
Yeah, the guy that I've went with he's a top 10 welterweight at the minute. We've seen him fight in Liverpool back at the end of May, and he's Neil Magny. That's the guy that I've seen. I think he was in the 14th season of The Ultimate Fighter and didn't look overly great on there. But since then, the guy's established himself as a top 10 welterweight, which is a killer of a division. And he's beat some decent guys in that division. He's beaten Kelvin Gastelum. He's fighting for belts. He's beaten other good guys. He's lost to a couple of good guys, but he's made a shit ton of progression since coming off that tough show, and he's put himself as a legit top 10 guy. With, if he was to go on and win another couple of fights in that division, he's right in the title talk. But to be honest with you, he's still got to face, when you look at the upper echelon of that division, Colby, Kamaru, Till, Wonderboy, Woodley, that's a rough division to be around. For me, that one there is Neil Magny. That's the first guy that came to my head when I started thinking about that question.
Yeah, there's honourable mentions like Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
Middleweight champ, folks. Kelvin Gastelum as well. You know, there are some obvious kind of guys that you see. You could even go as far as like your Rashards, your Bisping. Exactly. No, there's a lot of guys out there. Because we can go very old school, or we could go even modern day. And I think for me, one guy that stood out over the past few years more so, because I thought, as the years went on, I thought the tougher episodes weren't as strong, seasons that weren't as strong. And Tough Latin America 2 was one that stood out to me. I thought it was a pretty weak one. But one guy that's come out, he's 5-2 in his division since coming into it, is Gabriel Benitez. I thought he surprised me. I thought he wasn't going to do too well in the UFC. And I think he's going to become a kind of established featherweight guy. I think he's going to start maybe pushing that top 15, sticking around there. So I feel he's a good addition. And that's, again, great question, Jimmy. There's a lot of people on that list you could think of, but, you know, even if you think about it, you could say Rose Namajunas, you know, she went and won the title, you know, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, great question. Another one we had from YouTube. Let's go down to this. Let me just load up. Sorry, folks, I have to jump on the screen here. So this is from Fraz1886. That's his YouTube handle. I'm not sure if he has social media Twitters that have that handle. Okay, super. So, few questions for the podcast. Who would you like to see both Aldo and Stevens fight next, so we'll do that one first, bro. So let's pick an opponent for both of these guys. We kind of we talk off air? We might talk about it off air.
Did. I've got a little bit. I've got a theory what's going to happen here. So we had a Dana White interview before the fight took place. I think it was Friday, and we were talking about Max Holloway, and there was talks about, was it concussion, was it a stroke, was it this, was it that, was it to do with the weight cut? And I'm kind of thinking it might be to do with the weight cut, because he had that thing in New York to face Khabib. We had the weight cut there. He had the weight cut, obviously didn't help what he already had, making the cut against Ortega. So if there is something wrong and it's due to the weight cut, then the obvious thing is to move this guy up to 155. For me, that opens the door for Brian Ortega against Jose Aldo. I think it's the only fight you really make in that division. Now that Stevens is out of the equation, the only fight is Aldo against Ortega, and that would be a great fight. So for that, that's the fight I would make if Holloway isn't coming back to featherweight. But if he does, then it's tough to match up Aldo, because he's going to be looking for that title shot. So
he's only got 2 or 3 fights left on his contract.
Yeah.
Two fights left on his contract, I think it is.
Yeah.
Because he said in an interview he wants to go out on top when he leaves.
Yeah. But it's
that's awkward for the UFC though, because
he's beat everybody else. He's beat everybody else except for Holloway. So
it's horrible. It's like, why do you want to give a title to a guy who said he wants to leave?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's horrible. I think it's a horrible position for Jose Aldo, because I was like, do you know what? If you stuck him at 155, give him a couple of fun fights, and off he goes on his merry way. Happy days. He's not ripping himself down at 145. But then he's come out of that comment, and I thought, I think you've done the wrong thing there by saying that out loud.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think I would go with that. I would go with Jose. I'd go Jose Aldo, Brian Ortega. I think that's the only fight to make. You can't do Jose Aldo, Edgar.
Yeah.
You know.
No, you can't do that again. He's already beat him twice, and it's been very dominant over it. Yeah. It's Jeremy Stevens. I think is a little bit a harder guy to match.
because he's fought everyone. Everyone. Do you do him and Frankie again?
Nah, I don't. You can't.
I don't know.
If I had to think of one, you might go Kim v Korean Zombie. Would be a good fight. Bethe, but I think is Korean Zombie not got a fight already? I'm sure he had a fight lined up.
Who did he have a fight lined up with?
Oh, I'm sure that's going to piss me off.
He might very well have a fight, but that's what I mean. It's the problem I have for Stevens is he's fought that many guys in that division.
Yeah.
He was in a similar position to Max Holloway there, where if Max Holloway had lost a fight before he got a title fight, he'd be like, who was left for Max Holloway to fight? Because he fought everyone already.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be a case for Stevens where it comes to rematch time. You know, it's not ideal, but it might be someone somewhere down there that I might have to stick a rematch in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, Korean Zombie might be
Frankie
one.
Edgar, that's it. Korean Zombie's fighting Frankie Edgar.
Okay.
That kind of takes that out of the water.
Yeah.
But then maybe a Mirsad Bektic, just the guy that you put him in there with.
Or who was it that beat Elkins?
Volkanovski,
there you go.
It might be actually a good maybe co-main event when they go down to Australia later on in the year.
Yeah, Stevens Volkanovski, because that'd be a banger. Let's put it that way. And, there you go. That's a fight there that we can think of. Last question again from Fraz was Mr. Ross Pearson, bro. It is about. Do you think that Ross Pearson should retire? I enjoy watching his fights, but ultimately it's probably time to hang them up. I said it. I posted it on Twitter as well. I thought that he's just lost that yard, you know, and he lost it a few fights ago, but he's not. He's just getting those kind of fights where he's getting money, he's paying. He's got a little girl, he's got a wife, he's paying for the bills now. He's getting that money. That's what he's doing now. He's got a bonus money. I'd be surprised if the UFC keep him. He's 1-5. Like, they can't keep him. And he got a decision win last time, I believe, as well. So, what do you do with if you're Ross Pearson? If he goes from there, does he stick around with like Bellator, or does he go to Rizin, or just for a couple of fights, or does he Because you probably get the more suitable matchups if you fought somewhere like Risen, even less so than Bellator. But what do you do with your Ross Pearson?
Well, we were talking about this. You have to think the UFC must be looking at offloading him.
Yeah.
It must be a thing now. But what we were talking about kind of briefly was the fact that Bellator is buying over all the kind of talent in Ireland and the UK, are trying to get as much as they can. Now, if someone like Pearson comes on the market, I think Bellator snap him up. There's a guy you could put in the middle, the northeast
Norman.
England. Yeah, you could put him in the northeast England in Newcastle, and you could take a fight night card there. You can match him up with different guys with name value, like you said, with Norman Park and so on. Jim Wallhead, and he might move up to 170, and he could face Jim Wallhead. Who knows? I don't think it's the end of Ross Pearson as a fighter, but I think in the UFC, I think it is.
Yeah, I just think there's. What else can you? Like, you can't let someone go 1-5. You can't let it go. Like Caitlin Curran got away with it, but that's only because Dana had a bit of a crush on her. This, I assume. But I imagine this. He knows it himself. It'll be his time to go. But I would, for health reasons, I would like to maybe think he'd retire because he's taken a few cracks recently, and it's getting to the point where. But if he thinks he can keep going, and he feels he can keep going, he'll go to like the lesser promotion, get the more suitable fights where he probably will win. I'm not going to say he won't win, folks. He probably will win those fights because he's kind of on the lower tier UFC, but he's on the high tier of the regional shows, so to speak, even Bellator to an extent. Especially the guys out there. But yeah, Ross could even fight 155, 170 there. We wouldn't have to. He could have a bit of a bounce around depending on the matchups if they're more suitable for him. And that's the podcast this week, folks. So thank you very much for listening. Pleasure as always. Hit the subscribe button. All the social media aspects we're on there. Join us in the conversation, the comments below. We'll see you all not next week because we've got a break, which is crazy. But we'll speak to you in 3 weeks' time when we've got another rollout of a cluster of cards. And until then, enjoy the next few weeks off, people. From MMA perspective, they've got other shows on, but enjoy your few weeks off. We'll enjoy ours, and we'll be back soon enough. Will, any last words? Yeah, just subscribe. Get us to 300 followers or subscribers on YouTube. I think we're like 50... 240. 240, so we're like 60 all the way. Yeah. Get us to 300 by the end of the year. That's what our goal is. So try and do that. Like I say, enjoy this fight card this weekend because we have got a break. Which I think is a nice wee break before the end of the year, which is going to be crazy with big fights left, right and centre. So until then, from John and myself, enjoy the cards, take care, and we'll see you very, very soon.